Hello! You might be wondering why I am soaking my feet. Now I'm here enjoying a lovely beverage by the river as a way to celebrate my first solo trip backpacking the Long Trail. The Long Trail is a 272-mile walking path that goes from north and south across the entire state of Vermont, from Massachusetts to Quebec. While I would really like to thru hike this someday, I decided to start out with a 2-night trip at a section around Waitsfield, Vermont, so I could get a feel for the trail and try out solo backpacking for the first time, and check off some 4,000 footers while I was at it. On day 1, I parked at the Appalachian Gap parking area, and I headed south to Stark's Nest to set up my base camp on a ski slope. The way up was pretty steep and featured many spots with rebar you had to climb up on the more vertical parts. Rebar, and then a ladder. Just came up that, and now we've got more rebar. Oh my god, are you seriously? What is this thing? Creepy! You'll also see some unusual sights that aren't seen on most hiking trails. That's in part because this section of trail is a popular ski destination in winter. So there are plenty of ski lifts, warming huts, and ski trails along the way. During the non-ski months, the huts are generously left open for hikers to use. Stark's Nest is one of such ski places about 3 miles up and features a large warming hut, a rain barrel as a water source, and a picturesque view. It made an excellent base camp as I could use the hut to get out of the wind while cooking and eating. Setting up a base camp here also allowed me to leave behind the weight of my shelter, sleep system, and other items that I didn't need while hiking the next day. I got going the next morning at 8:45, and while this isn't super early by hiking standards, I found that I was the first one on the trail headed south, as most people camped here were northbound. This meant walking through countless spider webs that were draped along the trail. When I finally passed someone going in the opposite direction, I was grateful that I no longer had to silk blaze, as that person had likely taken all the upcoming webs to the face. The first major peak that I would hit on my 13-mile out and back hike would be Mount Ellen. This is one of only 5 4,000 footers in the state of Vermont. It's also, surprise surprise, a ski mountain. The views here were beautiful, but it was very windy when I went, so I ended up hiding out in a ski lift operator booth where I cooked and ate breakfast. Continuing on, I eventually came across an interesting attraction that was not on the map, Castle Rock. This is another ski lift and hut that was notable for its many large picnic tables inside and a large deck with a thermometer. This would be a great place to camp or retreat in cold or inclement weather. Wow, look at that. I don't know if I'm on Nancy Hanks Peak or just very close to it, but it's a pretty nice view. On this section of the LT, many times the best views would be close to a peak while not being on the actual peak. This was the case with Nancy Hanks Peak and Lincoln Peak, where the peak signs were in places you may not expect. While maybe not the best view of the hike, Lincoln Peak was probably my favorite place to relax and enjoy the view, as it was a lot more spread out up there than Mount Abraham. I'm almost to the top of Mount Abraham. This is going to be my second Vermont 4,000 footer. With Mount Abraham under my belt, it was time to make the 6.5-mile trek back to camp, where I would be able to cook dinner and enjoy the sunset before heading to bed in time for hiker midnight.
So apparently that's a trail. I'm on my way back to the car and I came through that cave trail I showed before because there's supposed to be a panoramic view up here, and this is, I think I have to get up there somehow, so we'll see how this goes. And I made it. It was kind of scary. Was it worth it? Yeah.
On my way home, I tried to stop at Lawson's for lunch, but I found out they were only taking reservations 2 days in advance. This ended up being a blessing in disguise because if I had been able to eat there, I never would have tried looking for an alternative location to eat my leftover hiking food and stumbled upon Warren Falls. This was an amazing swimming hole, which was better than anything I could have imagined after a backpacking trip. I was able to enjoy a refreshing beverage by the river, and I even got in and swam in my hiking clothes. It was a perfect way to end an amazing trip, and I'm grateful things worked out this way. As a friend recently said, remember to see the silver lining in everything, and try to look at the opportunities afforded to you by even the most disheartening circumstances. Without losing my ability to work this last spring, I'm not sure I would have gotten in this good a shape and confidence to enjoy this trip as much as I did. But now that I've done it, I'm ready to tackle more challenges that the future has in store. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope that you'll join me on my next adventure, hopefully to go back to the Long Trail and do another section, which I will be posting as well.
Was it worth it?